Alexa, pause. You know that saying, when you run into something interesting, drop everything else and study it. You see, that's a daily reminder. Part of the reason we turned into a poster is so you just hang it in the studio and remember it every single day. I have a story that I want to start sharing on this channel that is about that, and it's over 6 years long, so we're going to take it in little bits. And you see, life is really interesting because the littlest thing, the smallest thing, can like totally alter your trajectory. That's what it's about, and it's actually why this channel is also here. It's partially the function of it. You see, on my first summer in graduate school, I was prepping for my thesis, and I ran across this project called the Behavior Bank, and it was kind of like Boulder. You weren't really allowed to talk about. And my first thought was, why? You see, the idea of this was that you would take your data, deposit it into the bank, and then you'd be able to withdraw an answer that was based off that data. Think about it, a simple transaction like you'd experience at the bank. A more modern, recent example, think about Google. You ask a question, it delivers an answer. But the difference is it's based on the data that's inside. Practitioners, you may see where I'm going with this. So I started to probe into this a little bit more and try to understand what was going on. And it's really fascinating. Ogden Lindsley and a team, just a massive team of people that we'll get into over time, they compiled over 33,000 projects. There's different levels at which they analyzed these. Not all of them were actually analyzed, but there was a lot of work put into this. You know Scantrons, those things where you fill the bubble in that we used to use? It took over 22 of those to be able to capture one of these projects and put it into the old computers, just so they could start to analyze it. There was a full-time person that just checked bubbles. A full-time person just checked if the bubbles were filled out correctly and sent them back if they weren't. And because of things like this and the cost of these mainframe computers and such, it costs over $1.5 million of today's dollars in US to be able to even attempt the scale of this project. And it did some pretty cool things, including validating with standard acceleration chart as a tool to be able to look at data. And it gave this really interesting nostalgic effect over most people's faces when I asked them about it, specifically those that were involved in the project or really close to it during its happening. And I learned most of this from Hank Pennypacker, Abigail Calkin, and the leader of the project, Carl Koenig, all of whom I've visited, and I have some stories and even some recordings of our visits there. And you see, the idea was to be able to quickly answer any question that a practitioner may have. So for an example, let's say that you have someone on Facebook, right? And you're like, I have a 3-year-old that tantrums, what should I do? Now, I'm exaggerating it here a little bit, but we've all seen them, and you get two sort of responses from that. You have people suggesting a bunch of things and asking questions that want to be proactive and kind of help out. Or you have people on the other side, they're like, this is a blatant violation of ethics. What are you doing? You're the worst person in the world. A whole list of ethical codes that they cite. And I first of all have some empathy towards these sort of people because I think this would solve those sort of issues. I'm poking a little bit of fun here. The ethics are important, but at the end of the day, we can't blame the learner, right? There's a reason that these are being answered, and the idea was to be able to solve them with tools like this. But it would be able to take the goals and the data of your learner and be able to benchmark it to the existing body of literature as well. And these things sound crazy and really far off, and that they aren't a thing that could be happening, but they're actually happening in other fields around us, other industries. Medicine, there's tools out there already available to where doctors can go in, they can look at what it is that they think's going on, and get up-to-date information, like results that were published in articles yesterday can be fed to them and things that they can take into consideration when making the treatment decisions. And rather than watching this happen to our field, I would rather be a part of the solution and help push that forward. And I'm hoping that you are wanting to be a part of that as well. But first, this is usually where academics start keyboard warring and they get all bent out of shape because of the peer review process. But a few quick things there. We know that the peer review process is somewhat tainted depending on who you are in our field. We do know that. Citations down below. We also know that is a problem for science in general. Citation also down below. Lastly, the Behavior Bank was looking at this and preparing in advance for this, including some comparisons of this. And there's a master's thesis, which is also linked below, that starts to show how they were approaching to tackle this. I have faith in it, but the data will end up speaking, and nobody else has attempted this to my knowledge in behavior analysis. So at the point, it just becomes a bunch of pedantic talk rather than actual evidence. So academics, hold your breath on that. I understand the concerns, but we can look at it a little bit differently. So I have assembled a team over this year of journeys of going all over the place. And we also have a partner, we have data, and we need to start crunching this. So I'm inviting you, if you are interested, to help join the team in the first stage of crunching the data and putting in a position to where we can actually work on the really hard sort of stuff, the machine learning and all of that. All you have to do is comment down below why you think you're a good fit, and then I will PM you and we will continue the discussions in a private message. This is a strictly volunteer role. We're going to do as much as we can to work as a community and make this idea happen. Now, if you want to keep up to date with this journey, what's going on, more of the stories that I'm going to be sharing, that is Patreon specific content. That means everybody that signs up at the link down below for $5 or more to help support this channel and help support what I'm doing here on the Daily BA, you will get first access to all of this and get more of those, including some of the interactions on and off camera that I mentioned with Hank Pennypacker, Abigail Calkin, and others. And in the future, in addition to this history and learning more about that, you'll get to meet the team, get to see who it is that I'm partnered with, learn about the data, learn about the road trips of searching for some of the very few leftover pieces of this that I've been compiling and trying to figure out and find for the last 6 years, as well as some insight from the advisory team. I've got folks in different states that are helping advise on different levels. I mean, as you can see, there's a lot that's been going on here, and I want to share that with you, but if I'm going to take that time and care, I'm going to put it on Patreon first, so check the link out. And lastly, I've been really busy on restructuring this channel. A lot of exciting stuff to come, as well as all my commitments that I've made in the past to finish out this year's content and trips. So thank you so much for your patient